Woo! Meal prep time!
Ideas here with another ranking, this time the 2006 Matoran. 2006, up there with one of my favorite years. And when 2006 came out, we were treated to the villains first, with no heroes in sight. And the only heroes that we did have were these guys, and Axon. And I did quite like the idea that this is a truly ruthless world that we're in. Boyanui is a horrible island, and these Matoran are really up against the odds, right? They are hopelessly outmatched. Their entire civilization has been enslaved. And these guys forming the resistance force along with Axon are like the last holdouts of the civilization. Very cool idea. The fact that these Matoran are essentially mock-style builds made out of existing parts to represent the fact that they are weird, pieced together, mishmashed creations of Kazi. Also a great idea to give us some new builds. And, you know, for all those who decry clone sets, is this the first wave of truly unique models? Yes. I think with every other wave, even when there were variations such as the Nuva, the Marder, the Vizorak, these guys truly are the first wave of 6 truly unique builds. And I think that is something to be recognized. Because of that, and as we would see later on when the canister sets adopted this model as well, that means there is a range of quality when it comes to these sets, which probably makes them easier to rank than some of the more similar type waves. Thing to note with these, which is the biggest shame of these sets truly, considering again that is quite a step in the right direction, I guess, in terms of mixing up the builds of each set in a wave, meaning there is arguably more value in buying all 6, is that these guys have no new parts. So if you have a healthy or a significant bionicle collection up to this point, there technically is no value in buying these because they don't bring anything new to the table. Historically, the small sets would always have recolors of existing masks, or, you know, something. They would have something to them. If it's the 2004 Matoran, actually decently pretty new throughout, you know, you've got unique mask recolors, bodies, arms, discs. The Rahaga, you've got the recolored Rakshi heads. The 2003 Matoran, you've got a brand new build for them. I'd say the Borok Karl, not Borok Karl, sorry, the Borok Var even, you have brand new Krana colors. Some of them have recolored weapons. These guys have nothing. No recolored Kanohi, no new weapon molds, no new limb molds, nothing. Which is a shame. Again, I could actually live with these being completely reused parts if the Kanohi were recolored. And this was a perfect time to do it. I think beyond the classic 2001 Kanohi, the most reusable Kanohi and the Kanohi people use in mocks the most are the 2004 Metru masks. And this would have been the time to get them recolored. Of course, the following year, we got the sole recolor of a Metru mask in Idris, getting the Ruru in dark blue. But that's really the main drawback of these sets, in my opinion, because they have nothing to them other than that. I've never purchased any of these, yet I was able to build them, and I'm still able to build them just out of leftovers. And again, just a recolored mask. I'm not even asking for new molds. Just recolor those masks, and I think that would have been a good move. Now, I appreciate 2006 was a year chock full with new molds, new colors, really establishing the building system from here on out. So I think a lot of the budget went to those things, including even new metallic shades. Gunmetal got recolored, gold got updated. The Piraka that came out the same wave brought us dark tan pieces, sand green pieces, a revival of sand blue. There was a lot going on this year. So 2006 could never really be considered, you know, cheaping out or being lazy, except for these guys. Now, because someone will probably comment this, Dalu technically has a recolor. Her mask, her Rao, is technically a slightly different blue to Nokama, supposedly, but I would treat that as simple molding changes. Lego has that within standard colors that aren't intentional as well. If you look at dark red Bionicle pieces, technically that color never changed, but there are various different dark red shades, depending on if you're comparing a 2004 set, a 2008 set, a 2009 set. There's just variance in the color, and the degree of recolor that Dalu truly has falls more in line with that. But anyway, that being said, rewinding back to the build, yeah, so there's variety here, so there's a lot to look to. What I did like as well, and I do like with Bionicle in general, is when characters of the same elements have different colors. And by these guys sticking closer to kind of older colors, the Piraka having their own shades, and then also the Tora and Naika having bold shades. Like there's for example, let's take the stone characters. Avak has a different brown to Velica. Velica has a different brown to Huki because he's not brown. Like you've got 3 stone sets and they all have different colors. I like that. That reminds me of 2001, where the Matoran came in a bunch of different colors, and it just reflects real life. You know, people of the same race have different shades depending on their ethnic makeup. It just makes the world feel nice and rich and cool, and I just like it when different sets within the same element have the same color. Again, we kind of lost that in 2004. A little bit, and 2005, just with the homogeneity of the grey being the secondary color for everything. You know, Nuri is the exact same color scheme as Vakama. Same with all of those other Matoran. The Rahaga, same thing. So getting a little mix up, intentional or not, is nice. Yeah. Cool. One thing with the nature of these builds that is actually sort of misleading in the marketing material is these guys use the Metru head. And at this time, they didn't have the shorter eye stalk that Kongu introduced the following year. And because of that, the long stalk of the Metru eye would not work on most of these builds. It would hinder the articulation, and basically, yeah, the heads would be locked in one position. So all of these guys do not have eyes. It's a little bothersome. I can live with it. And especially considering that Matoran only really gained... Well, it's actually interesting, when you think about it. Up until this point, the only Matoran sets that had colored eyes were actually the 2004 Matoran. Because the Tohunga head that they used in 2001 and 2003 had opaque eyes. So these sort of fall in line with those in a way. But yeah, so it's a little bit of a miss. And again, the marketing's a little bit misleading by showing them with eyes. And they did that again in 2007. Though I'd argue 2007 has less of an excuse. The build of the 2007 Matoran has the space to have the Metru eye stalk, so not having the eye stalk is a bit cheap. Yeah, I think that's about enough preamble on the sets. I like these guys as a team. Again, I like the idea that the Matoran aren't just helpless. What I liked about some of the Madanui Matoran with the Air Force, the Takoro Guard, is these guys, they inhabit this world. They have to survive by themselves. The Toa aren't always there to save them. And in these guys' scenario, they really did think, you know, it's us alone. We have one Giga Chad who is our last vestige where we need to fend for ourselves. And that's a very cool concept, just in general. Comment on the elephant in the room, the stupid late-stage canonization that Velica is a great being. Absolutely idiotic. Makes no sense. Dumb. I think at the time, because I remember when the contest was running on BZP, the popular option was Kapura, because Kapura was already shown to have weird, unearthly abilities that were never really explained, and it made him sort of a weird, mysterious character. And I think, because it was so obvious, Greg decided not to opt with that. Which I guess makes sense as a misdirect, but this reveal had nothing. I really don't like ass-pull reveals without foreshadowing. A good twist or a good reveal needs to feel intentional and feels like it's been set up. The Madanui robot reveal is a great story reveal because the clues were there all along. It's crazy because I remember being on BZP back in the day in one of the forums in 2006 maybe, and there was this theory in one of the threads, because in the Legends of Metronui, when Makuta, reveals himself, you see the two moons eclipsing, and which are the Madanui eyes kind of closing. And I remember someone writing this elaborate theory, basically about the Great Spirit robot, and everyone in threads like, "Oh, you're an idiot, dude. Fuck you." And it's like, the clues were there the entire time, and now we know from Christian Faber's concept art that, you know, this was always intended. So when the 2008 reveal happened, it was amazing, because not only was it a great story reveal, but it was actually foreshadowed. The clues were there. And, you know, twists aren't always established from the start, but the second you want to start doing that, you want to start sprinkling things in, or using existing lore as a springboard to make it feel like it was intentional, which Kapura had. Velica had nothing, and it's just a really stupid story decision, and I choose not to believe it, because anything really... Honestly, most stuff post-2008 starts kind of going off the rails in terms of what I care about canon-wise, because it just starts becoming really stupid. And Velica is very emblematic of that. Okay, I think that was the last sort of thing to address with these guys primarily before jumping into the builds. I'm going to go in a random order here. I think I have a general... I know who my least favorite is, I know who my favorite is, and the guys in the middle sort of fall somewhere, so we'll figure it out as we go. As always, I've queued up the pictures. I will just click on whoever's first and decide. So hopefully I put that in the right order. Okay, my least favorite is Garan. Garan is my least favorite. Why is he my least favorite? Well, I'll just give you... I'll even show you his the CGI image of him. Already he is just shown to be the most boring. They didn't, like, the eye color they gave him on his box was gray. Like, the rest have, like, orange eyes. But he looks like this is a black and white scale image. I don't know why the CG of him showed him with no eyes. I guess it was technically the most accurate of them all, but still, even this picture looks boring. I think, speaking to the benefits of this being the first wave of 6 radically different builds, that this guy is a clone. He's a clone of Velica. And the reason I say clone of Velica is because I don't dislike this build. Velica just does it a lot better. I think the choice of mask suits the build better. Though that's... not here or that. Ruru isn't bad for this build. But I think Velica, there's the color there. The trans orange lets it pop. And, in fact, let's just talk about both of them. The trans orange adds a pop of color that's more interesting. It's more... the brown and the gray have more of a contrast than the black and the grey. I know that's the default Earth color scheme, but Garan has no bonus color to mix it up. Like, Onua looks cool because he's grey, black, and then you have the piercing dark green to balance the color. Garan has nothing. It's just silver, black, and grey, and there's just... it looks so washed out. While Velica has the orange to make him pop, the brown contrasts with the grey. That's not Velica. Yeah, and it just looks nicer. And you know, probably the most, I guess, if someone doesn't like the set, will come down to the arms. I like this arm design. It's kind of quirky. I don't mind these being used as hands. It's funny that Chirox use these as hands. They almost remind me of Turaga hands, little stumpy, like, Technic-Hold things. But I think it works a lot better with Winua's weapons because they really feel like little scoopers. Like, they feel more like hands. That pair well with this build, right? I don't know what it is. They just work better as the end than these Chronicler staffs. These don't particularly suit these arms in my opinion. They're just inferior to the way Velica does them. So yeah, he's boring, washed out, and the only one that I would consider a clone. And you know, if we're going to pick one of the clones, the worst one is getting in last place. So Garan is, quite frankly, my least favorite. Again, staying on Velica, touched on why I prefer him to Garan. Again, I think the weapons work better for the arms. The orange really works to add a pop of color. The brown and the grey also provides a better contrast than Garan. Velica, honestly, is one of my favorites of these guys. And also, just to touch on the fact that they're the same, it's also, it almost works backwards, because I think they decided that these Earth and Stone have similar builds, similar structure, going back to Poatu and Onua. Like how Bionicle again gives kind of Onua and Poatu a more analogous build. They're the tough guys, but it's funny because the virtue of being the strong characters often meant that, and even when they weren't strong, the brown and the black characters always had the most unique builds. Even when they aren't hunched characters, like Nuparu and Ica, Huki and Ica, both of those sets have the unique elements. Huki with the chain, Nuparu with the extra Toa tools and the mounted weapon. Like, Earth and Stone always got the special stuff. So in this wave, them being identical sort of works, but it also makes them the least unique in a way. But seriously, Velica, even though I'm putting Garan in the last place, Velica I really like. Might even be my number 2, honestly. I think Velica, the orange is nice. I like the way this build looks. I'm putting him at number 2. So yeah, I mean, just being a copycat really hurts you, Garan. Yeah, you can't really say he's a copycat. Came out at the same time. If the two of you are twins, the uglier twin goes at the bottom. Sorry about that, dude. Okay, fine. Those are those 2. So Velica, pictures, goodbye. Kazi. Kazi is an interesting one because I think most people dislike this build. Oops, spoiler. I honestly think I'm a little bit more forgiving of Kazi. It's a very weird, quirky build. I keep going back to this picture. Move out of the way. That is Taraga-Likan, and I'll touch on him in a minute. But yeah, Kazi's strange. I can see why people would dislike this build. And yeah, it is really odd. And he doesn't even use a Metru head. He uses a standard bionicle hand. There is a mod on my channel. Check out the video if you want to, showing you how to build a Metru style, a faux Metru head, and that gives Kazi light piping on this build using the G2 eye stalk. Search my channel for Kazi, I'm sure it will come up. But if you were ever going to use a head that, you know, didn't have eyes in it, this would be the one to do it. This is the mask with the most narrow eye slots. Well, this one or the Rao, like this could have also worked for Dalu. Has a very narrow eye slot, so not having eyes behind them it's not so bad. And I think it uses a lot of creative piece usages. Building this around the Hordika arm is it's pretty creative and it's very unorthodox. I complained in the last video about the protectors having an issue with them having completely straight arms. Yeah, that's not ideal, but it seems less jarring here. And I think it just kind of comes down to these are more abstract. Like, the protectors are very upright, they have actual fingered hands and stuff, so just having straight, immovable arms that are very analogous to human arms is more jarring than this look to me. Honestly, my biggest problem with it is the legs. It's the worst part of this set, and honestly, when modding this, because if you look at the instruction, the Hordika feet are, so the Hordika necks are pointing forwards. I tend to, if you're going to build it using the source pieces in the model, have them in an upright position. I think it looks better that way. And then, of course, if you're modding this, if you use a lightsaber rod to give some posability, so you can get these kind of middle angles that most of the CG images, which are deceiving, show them in, which isn't, again, it's not accurate to the build, but you can be achieved with a lightsaber style rod. He uses the Guruk staves, which end up being so used, and for good reason. It's a good piece. It's pretty versatile. I like the name of these as well. The Echo Forks, very cool. His Borok eyes are a recolor for Bionicle. I actually got these pieces in a Technic snowmobile, so they aren't Bionicle exclusive, but they are that ice, what I like to call ice blue, which is the trans blue that's used on Matoran and Nika, and not on, say, the Borok, for example. But yeah, it's a really quirky, weird build, and I can see why people would place it towards the bottom, but I actually kind of like it. So yeah, I'm just trying to think where I would place him, really. And then I wanted to touch on the Taraga-Likan set, because this is like using that build but doing it horrifically wrong. Again, down to the basic things with the Likan mask is very exposed with the extra slots, so it's not a good mask to use where you're hiding the hand as the head, and also the way it's attached here at the end of the hand, terrible. Obviously the lack of the hand is weird. He has more conventional legs, but it gives him a very hippie build, and then the fact he has no feet, yeah, this thing sucks. So this is like Kazi with everything done wrong. I don't know where I'm going to place Kazi. Again, I almost want to give him more credit than people usually do, because I think it's a weird model, but it has some charm to it. But okay, I'm just gonna sit it there for now, because I'm not sure where to place him. Who do I have next up here? Go away, Kazi. Dalu. Now, Dalu, I'm actually flipped on this one. Dalu, I don't think I like Dalu as much as a lot of people do. Like, even though people know my famous quote saying that I love Dalu because she has anger management problems. One thing I will say about her, adding to the kind of mix of color schemes, I kind of like that she uses Mada Blue. This is Mada Blue's representation in 2006. Nice. Like, this year, Vizok gets dark blue and sand blue. Dalu gets Mada Blue and dark blue and some trans blue. Harley gets white and dark blue. Like, again, I like this mix, and I like that LEGO recognizes that the Metru Nokama mask looks more Mada Blue than it does dark blue. It's really funny because Garly's trans Kanohi actually looks closer to dark blue, and this looks closer to Mada Blue, but you know, they're on alternate sets. So I like how they leaned in on that. I think my biggest problem with this set is the way the hips are joined. I just don't like how this makes this whole part of the body sit really high up and then really forward. Like most of the other hunch type builds, well, actually all of them use this, are built around this foot except for Kazi. It keeps the hips very close to the body, but yeah, neither of these pictures show it off very well, but because of the way this is built, the entire frame sits forward and it looks really awkward. Also, because it uses Borok limbs, she feels weirdly big compared to the rest of them. Which I don't necessarily mind, but her being the only one like that, it feels a bit out of place. Like, she doesn't... Her and Kazi are definitely the more outliers, and even though she is less unique than Kazi in a way, there's plenty of about her that makes her feel out of place, and in my opinion, not in a good way. I also, even though she has dark blue, and I would actually prefer if she didn't have the dark blue. I think it just feels like an unnecessary addition to this color scheme. I'd rather her have had silver hands like the Borok Carl, or even these the trans blue pieces up here being silver as well. I think they kind of distract from the fact this is a Mada Blue color scheme. And I've actually said it before, I'm not actually a big fan of mixing Mada Blue and Metru Blue. I think maybe Godunka is the only set which I don't mind it on. Like, I don't like Tarek's using this color scheme. I think Beric's is not so bad because it's almost like he's wearing boots, but yeah. She uses the Takanuva staffs, one of the most reused weapons, and again, for good reason, it's a great piece. But yeah, I'm not too hot on Dalu as a build. I just don't like the way these hips work. It kind of ruins the model for me. And I get it, I guess, broad hips, and it's doing something different, but it's really this fact that the whole body sits at a forward angle like that. I'm not the biggest fan of that look. Okay, that's Dalu, I think. To be honest, I like Dalu and Kazi, like, one is a functionally better build. Dalu's a better build than Kazi in terms of, oh, I have a little posable action figure, but Kazi's just so weird. I kind of like him. Okay. Piruk. Piruk is a very, very nice build. I really do like Piruk a lot. He feels, it's like, I don't know what it is. Like, a lot of them have a lot of jank, but this one almost feels like the perfect blend. He's such a heavy Metru green color scheme that looks really nice, and it really accentuated with this pop of color from the trans neon green. This is a really nice color scheme, and I just really do like that contrast. And you know, having it around the upper body, I don't know, it pops to me. Him having this general hunchback build and the Onua claws really feels well suited to this build. It's another one where you can really kind of easily adapt. If you put a lightsaber rod into the hips here, you can give the legs a little bit more posability. But there's just something harmonious about this build. Everything feels very intentional. Unlike Dalu, where there's weird stuff. Like, actually, jumping back to Dalu, like, even the fact that those hip connectors are, the things that connect the hips to the body are black, kind of messes with the color scheme as well. Not a great look. Here, this black doesn't bother me because it's so dark. Again, it matches with the dark green. The black on Dalu's hips are contrasted against silver and grey, so that it just kind of stands out. Here, this feels like everything washes together. And yeah, he's just the coolest looking build. There's just something cool about him, and this is why he was sort of... Him and Balta kind of go back and forth as the poster child. Like, they love to use Piruk in the games, on the web animations and stuff, and they use a recolored version of him as like the zombie infected Matoran. So yeah, Piruk is a fantastic build, and I guess we'll just quickly jump onto the other poster child, is Balta. I think Balta gets poster child status because he's just the Matoran of the team. I like the fact that We get Keat Orange in a fire color scheme. It was a color that was just screamed out to be used in fire color scheme. It's funny because he technically actually has the same color scheme as Malum, with the gray, the Keat Orange, and the dark red. This is one from afar which I never used to really like, and he looks really awkward from a lot of angles. But when you have him in person, you kind of get it. Like, I don't think this on paper should be great or that good, but there's something about having him built in front of you that this guy works quite well. There are a few things that are weird with him, like he also has the straight arms that Kazi does. Again, for whatever reason, these straight arms don't bother me as much as the other ones. I also think it's because of the shaping, because with the shaping you have it being wider at one end and narrower than the other end, unlike a CCBS limb. There is a perceived direction with the limb, so it feels a little bit more intentional than just having a straight CCBS limb as a limb. And you would think, okay, what the fact that he has this long Visorak length bone as his shoulders, that's a bit weird. But actually, this picture demonstrates it. It gives him this extra element of shoulder posability that works great for a lot of posing. The Liwa Katana's always a great piece. Again, used to death, but for good reason. It's a fantastic piece. And I've always found his little pincer pussy a bit weird. Right? I don't know how else to describe it. His little dangling pussy lips has always been an interesting design choice. Again, always weird, kind of weird from afar, but when you see the build and if your brain can fill in the gap, he's actually a lot better in person than I think any of the pictures really do him justice. And when you see him in motion as well, like when he, on the Piruk animations and stuff, when you see this guy running around, it's like, okay, I kind of get it. So yeah, this is one that is actually better than he looks. Until I built this guy for myself, I used to think, Balta, what? This is your poster child, this weird looking guy? But yeah, I think that's probably it. Again, not so much discussed with these guys. Let's rank them. Piruk, easy number one. Definitely the number one. This is peak 2006 Matoran design, in my opinion. The best Matoran, bar none. It's not even close. Like, Velica's cool, but he's not touching Piruk. Honestly, I might put Balta number 3. Again, from the pictures, and if I never had built any of these guys and had them all kind of posed together, he'd probably be lower, but in person, he's a lot better than he looks. Might be a really, really hot take, but I'm putting Kazi at number 4. There is just something weird about that build, and that sort of works when you just stand him on your desk. Again, it's not very posable with the limited little dwarf legs, and he's just so odd. But I think he looks better static in a lot. It's hard to say. Maybe is that just really unbiased? I don't know. There's something that really irks me about Dalu's hip design that just annoys me. Yeah, like really functionally, I think if you really wanted a toy, Dalu and Garan are probably better than Kazi. Garan is in a vacuum better than Dalu and Kazi probably, but he gets hit with the stick of being just a boring version of Velica. So, like, again, in a vacuum, he's probably sitting 3, 4 versus at the bottom. Screw it. It's my list. I'm putting Kazi there. Whatever. Kazi, you're a weirdo, and I'm giving you this preferential position just because I feel like it. Screw you, Dalu. Screw you and your damn anger management. Get it together. Okay, that's my list of the 2006 Matoran. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you'd like me to rank next. Go watch Takeover. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.